Welcome to the Wholesome Healing Collective.
Join us on our podcast for a journey into the hearts of healers from all walks of life, diving deep as we explore meaningful conversations that have the power to inspire, empower, and share life-changing wisdom.
Through this community, we hope to create a welcoming environment where our listeners leave feeling nurtured and uplifted. We are so delighted you are here. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Renee. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wholesome Healing Collective. We have a super special guest here today, a soul sister of mine, Cat, who is an amazing companion in life. We've gotten to know each other quite a bit over the last couple of years, working together both in the corporate setting and outside, which is really where we've connected in breathing together and sharing space together and connecting with other women. Kat has a superpower for community outreach and gathering women together and really allowing us to go past our layers of defenses or judgment or nervousness with connecting with other women, and just creates this amazing space for that connection to happen, which is so powerful and needed in our day and age, always, but especially now, and especially when everyone is online and sometimes it's so hard to connect or really know where to start or how to get connected with other women. So Kat's going to share a little bit with us about that today, as well as we're going to dive into all of our curiosity and experiences and love for sacred plant medicine and meditation journeys, and just how amazing and healing these modalities have been for us. So welcome, Kat.
Oh man, thank you so much, Renee. So grateful you honor me. I feel your love. I feel the same about you. I'm so grateful for the connection. I was just reflecting this morning about I moved here 4 years ago to Southern Oregon, and since then have just experienced some of the truest friendship I've ever experienced in my life, and you are very much a part of that. So thank you so much. Awesome. Well, I am so grateful to be here. My name is Kat. I originally come from Little Rock, Arkansas, and now reside in Southern Oregon. Really grateful for my roots. Arkansans are super down to earth, and I'm really grateful for that. I originally moved here for a job, and that was so amazing and blessed me in so many ways, helped me kind of get my feet underneath me. But since then, I've now transitioned into really aligning with my purpose and my mission here on Earth. And so I'm within my Saturn return that actually ends in January. And so this past year has been just like a whiplash, like just wow, in the best way, just so much growth around realizing my natural gifts and abilities, things that I don't have to work hard at, but that I'm naturally really gifted in. And it's been an incredible year, a lot of pain and also hard things, but I'm grateful for that, because those difficulties are really what cause you to, when you hit rock bottom, that's when you grow. And I've certainly experienced a lot of growth this year. And what that growth has mainly been focused in has been in my community building work. So I lead a weekly women's circle here in Grants Pass, coming up on 2 years of doing that now, which is kind of surreal. And then I also am really involved with helping educate and advocate people on psychedelics and their ability to help with this mental health crisis that we're a part of. Oregon's actually one of the first states in the United States to legalize psilocybin assisted therapy, along with other assisted therapies like ketamine and MDMA. I'm not as versed on those, but I certainly have been very involved with the psilocybin work. And I'm involved with a local group here. Helped co-found it with two of my other friends called the Rogue Valley Psychedelic Society. And we meet once a month and we have different speakers that are, whether they're nurses, physicians, facilitators, healers that give talks with the intention of trying to educate our community around these new laws and procedures that are coming out so that we can do it right, because this is needed and we have to get it out. But we want to do it correctly, and we want to properly educate people. Because like a lot of what we've seen is so cannabis, this is also a really big birthplace for that, but the way in which that was rolled out has left kind of a bitter taste in people's mouth. And so with psilocybin, this needs to be done correctly this time so that we can effectively reach people and get people this medicine. I mean, it has the potential to safely and effectively, in a non-addictive, non-toxic way, help people completely revert out of chronic lifelong depression or PTSD or trauma. So I'm super passionate about educating and advocating for that. And then personally in my own life, I have worked with psilocybin and have been experienced a lot of transition and a better relationship with my own anxiety and depression. So passionate about the medicine community. And since parting from my last job, which was so hard initially, again, but that's where that growth happens. I was pushed, quite literally pushed off the cliff into realizing my passion, which is to use my professional skill set in order to help small businesses or independent healers leverage their business. And that doesn't have to exclusively be with medicine workers. Of course, in my mind, medicine workers are people that are breathwork coaches, yoga teachers, Reiki healers, integration coaches, therapists, and then we have the actual facilitators, or people that are also, growing and sustainably tending that medicine. So, a lot of growth. Like, I've realized, wow, I'm really good at community building. I want to do that. I'm very passionate about medicine work, and I want to support and educate on that. And then I want to use my professional experience in order to help people that really want to heal, because that's what I'm about. I'm like, my time on this earth is short. It's moving very quickly. It's like a blink of an eye. As you get older, I feel like time moves so quickly, and I feel like my time on this earth is limited, and I want to use that time, every ounce of my being, supporting good people with good intentions and good causes. I don't have any time, to support nefarious causes, or to even support people that are or businesses or companies that are not, having a positive impact. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm deeply passionate about this stuff. Passion is a big part of my being. So I'm so grateful to be here this morning to talk about these things. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, I love that. Oh my goodness. That was like so much information. Definitely can tell how passionate you are. It just flowed right out of you. That's so beautiful.
Awesome. So grateful to be here.
That fiery passion is something that is very magnetizing for you. Yeah.
Definitely.
Super cool.
I know it's hard to not live in my passion. I mean, like, also, I was talking about how I'm a generator in my human design. And it was funny, I was reading the profile on that, and they say that generators, they have a hard time doing anything they don't love. It makes them sleepy. So it's like, when I'm plugged into something that I don't believe in, I'm depressed, I'm sleepy, but when I'm plugged in what I love, it's like an M85 firecrackers inside of me, just like so much energy. It's thrilling to live in. Honestly, I wish I could plug you into my heart generator. It's crazy.
Well, you kind of do, because I feel like it is contagious. Like, I'm feeling that energy, and I'm getting like jazzed just from hearing you talk and hearing your passions. So you do plug people in, I think.
Oh, yay.
Which is why people, I think, is a big part of leading a women's group is being able to allow that passion to come out because it is so, um, I want to say magnetizing again, but I feel like there's an even stronger word. Like it just pulls people in because they're like, I want to be living in my passion and I want that to be flowing from me. And when you give that taste to someone energetically, then it's like showing them the blueprint that they can then start to learn to start to live in that. So even when you're not necessarily like, I'm going to teach you how to live in your passion, it's you being you in your authentic energy that draws people in and is like, oh, I didn't know that I could feel that. And that's pretty cool. Like I want some more. So
Totally. Ever since I was a little girl, I've always had this really crazy energy source. Like I was an energizer bunny. My dad he called me a bird dog. He was like, anything that you wanted, you would just go get it, and you had so much energy for it. And I seriously, like, one of my favorite hobbies, I guess you could call it, I love being a hype man. Like I love gassing people up. I'm like, yes, like and I'm just a mirror, I'm a reflection. Everything I'm saying, it's the truth. It's a matter of we have two wolves inside us. As a Native American parable, we have the black wolf, which is like anger and anxiety and fear and self-loathing, and then we have this white wolf that is compassion and love and self-belief and joy. And I'm like, I'm just reflecting. I just want to reflect to you. Both are inside you, and whichever one you feed is what takes over. And so I just want to feed that white wolf in people, you know.
that's a
Yeah.
beautiful mission. Feed the white wolf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm. I'm curious with your community building work. Is there anything that comes to mind when thinking about maybe what's the origin story around your passion for building community and or what's your biggest takeaway or um, advice you'd have for someone who wants to start community, whether it's with their business or just they're wanting to expand their social network with quality people and starting a women's group seems like an amazing idea, but don't know where to start. So I don't know, anywhere you want to go with those two, or maybe we do
Sure.
both. I should have just asked them one at a time. I was excited.
How about we start with the origin story? Because I think
Yeah.
it's cool. So this was post-pandemic, and the pandemic, I think one of the most harmful things that happened was that humans were isolated from one another, that we were not able to gather in community. And that is just simply not how human beings are designed. We are designed like this. Life is hard. You have to have community in order to get through it. And so we were coming out of that pandemic. And then also, again, like I told you, this is like right around the time when I'm 27 years old, and I'm starting my Saturn return. And along this time, I met one of my best friends in the world, Chris Walker. And Chris and he's just one of those people where we have a lot of idea generation. Like he has a lot of energy too. And so we're just like bouncing ideas off each other. And pretty much they had a men's circle that was going on at his business, TruYou. And I was like, bro, where's the women's circle? Like, come on. And so he was like, well, I just don't have anyone to do it. Like, would you want to do it? And he's honestly, I want to shout out to Chris. Like, one of the best qualities that guy has is he gives people the opportunity to lead. Like, he sees potential in people, and he tries to give people the opportunity to step into that. And that's exactly what he did for me. He was like, yo, you should lead this women's circle. And so I started this women's circle totally as an amateur. Like, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily was the most gifted facilitator. And for anyone that is thinking about doing this, you know what the secret is? You just have to do it. You just have to show up. Like, it's not like I was incredibly skilled at what I did, but you know what I did do is I committed to, I'm going to be here every single week. I'm going to be here. I'm just going to hold space and I'm going to do what I naturally do best, which is just being a good friend to people. Like, I'm like, I'm just going to come here and listen. Like, shout out to my mom for teaching me the gift of listening. I mean, like, what a gift it is to just sit there and listen to people's stories. And oftentimes that's all people need. They just want to talk about what they're going through and be heard in that way. It's such a simple thing, but wow, the healing that's happened because of it. And the growth that I've experienced because of it. I mean, it went from nothing to now we have over 95 women that are within that community. Like, what? Like, that's just people because they just needed a space to come and talk about what they're going through. Not people, women needed a place to come and talk about what they're going through and just like wanted to be heard. It's so simple. And it's been through this experience of that I have grown a lot as a leader. Like, trust me, it was not all perfect. Like, you invite 90 or so women into your atmosphere. Like, there's going to be conflict and things that go wrong. And I have learned so much just by putting myself in that situation and continuing to be like, nope, I'm going to be here every week. And again, like, I got to give credit to my parents of like, they taught me how to conflict resolve, which is what it takes. Like, being in community, there's going to be issues and people that have issues with one another, but you have to coach them and teach them like, no, we don't just like get in an argument and then never talk to each other again. Like, no, let's work through it and talk and practice that circle of acknowledging maybe where you went wrong, asking for forgiveness, and then extending that forgiveness. Very important circle in order to build community. And then yeah, just the consistency. Like, totally, just I give all credit to the consistency. Like, I just legitimately, I was there at TruYou every single week for the first year and a half. Like, that's how much it took just to get it going. And now we have a council of women that co-lead with me, so it's no longer just me. It's totally a co-created experience that organically happened. Like, and it was actually out of the conflicts that we identified, oh, we need a council. We need, because it doesn't make sense that for 95 people that one person is making the decisions. We need more of a collective decision making base. And so it was just amazing. But like, I also just want to give credit to women. Women are so organized and they're hungry for this. They're organized, meaning they're easy to work with and collaborative. I'm like, hey, this is what I need. Boom, boom, boom. Like, they take care of it. I love that about women. And then on top of that, women in general, like within our collective conscious, are very hungry for this. Like, I am feeling this energetic shift within our culture of, we are shifting away from this toxic masculine way of being. Like, and we see that like, women are developing their voice and their power. And genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I believe that right now, in terms of how the environment is, the environmental destruction that is happening, the corporate greed, the mental health crisis, the way in which we treat our bodies, the physical health crisis, pharmaceuticals and their total abandonment of where everything originally began, which is Mother Earth. Like, there's this a lot of, I'm not a feminist necessarily, but I'm definitely want to acknowledge like the lack of feminine presence within his history. Like, a lot of feminine history has been written out. Like, for example, agriculture, which was one of the biggest inventions that allowed human beings to progress. That was, tending plants and taking care of plants at that time in history. That was women's work. And, like, we don't get I learned that this past year and I was like, what? I've never heard of that before. Like, that women were the ones in order to start this huge human advancement. Same with pottery and weaving. that was women's work. So I'm like, but I like that about women, that they don't necessarily need the acknowledgement. Like through all of history, we've been like, whatever, like we're just here to support. And that, like, women are wonderful in that way, but I think it's good to that now things I'm like learning about different goddess culture, and I think it's good that these things are being acknowledged, because the world right now needs more feminine leadership, which what women do well is gentleness, compassion, and love. That's what women do
Mhm.
well, and the world needs more of this. And on the inverse side, like, it's not like we only need women, we need the masculine as well. And we need more of a balanced, better, collaborative relationship between the two. Like, what men do well is power and intelligence, and what women do well is that gentleness, compassion, and love. And they both need to learn from one another and inherit those skills, so that we can have more balance within our culture, because that's what's happening right now. There's an imbalance, and that's why we're having all this sickness and illness, both within the collective consciousness and within ourselves. And like, yeah, so I'm incredibly passionate about just helping empower women to realize our lineage and where we came from and what we're good at, and stepping into that, and also developing, like, I want to say, thank you, mom and dad. You raised a very powerful young lady, and it was through your love that I have developed this power within me. And I would consider myself, like, I do have that masculine power. Like, I'm rooted in that way, and I want to help other women develop that power, that voice. So, ooh, I don't know. I kind of was all over the place there, but that I've learned so much through this group, just on a personal level and also on a collective level of what's going on. And I it's just the beginning. Like, man, I'm really growing into this, and get excited about my future and continuing to support this. But it's been an amazing journey.
Mhm.
I love that. I'm starting a women's circle. We're officially
Mhm.
kicking off next week. And so it's so cool to hear your evolution, your progress, and it's very inspiring. Thank you.
Yes, just
What
stick with.
great timing.
I know, totally. I'm seeing women's circles. It's crazy because I'm seeing women's circles pop up left and right within our community, like left and right. All these women's circles, these women getting together. And I am convinced if the women within the community can get together and heal, we can heal our entire community.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing within circle every week, it's not limited to that circle. We're raising the conscious vibration, has ripples effects. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the 100 monkey theory, but
That's in the book we're reading, Renee, this week
nice.
in chapter 4.
Yes, that is so funny that this is coming
Right?
up because I just read that chapter this weekend, or what day is this? Sometime this week.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so crazy, talking about particle theory, wave theory, and how, correct me if I'm wrong, but like there was this big experiment where the monkeys in one area who learned a certain skill, once it reached a certain repetitions of learning, all of a sudden these other monkeys who's never been exposed to this in other areas of the world started learning this skill. I was like, this is exactly what we have been told in so many different ways and by so many different downloads, of one person's healing really contributing to the whole and the collective raising of the consciousness. So just echoing your point of like us getting together and healing really does have such a powerful, mind-blowing ripple effect on the healing of the collective. It's so cool.
Yeah, it was just like the last time I was with you breathing, Renee, that was like one of the messages that came through. Was I was like, wow, the healing that I'm doing in my own life, this work, I'm doing it on behalf of all of my lineage. And like, and when I, all of my relations, like, oh, my matakuyasin, that Native American saying that they say normally after a prayer, it means all my relations. And it's like, I'm doing this on behalf of all of the people in my life. And the reality is, it's something I've been sitting with. This human experience we are not separated from one another. Like we are all a part of this same energy. And yeah, and like I like think that's any message that tries to treat separateness, you need to get rid of that in your life, because none of this is separate from one another. We are all connected. I mean, that's what that 100 monkey theory is showing. I'm seeing that in my own life. That's why, yeah, like empathy is a really big deal, because it's just helping us understand. Like, I think it's huge. I think that's what we need more in our world. But yeah, we're not separate from one another. We're all in this experience together. Like,
Mhm.
yes. Oof.
Which is exactly why we can feel your energy and be
Yeah.
like super juiced from it.
Yes. Take it. I got so
Get it out
much.
there. Yeah. So cool.
Hmm.
Mm.
Renee's a generator and I'm a manifesting generator.
Oh,
It's
I
so
did not
funny. I
know.
keep noticing how I keep attracting other generators and manifesting generators into my little world. And here you are, another generator.
Hey, yes.
First coming at you.
We're good at giving people gas for sure. Like I've definitely seen that in my life of like the things that I'm really passionate about. Like I have a way of giving it some good energy to grow it. And that's meant a lot to me in terms of just like self-confidence, of like believing in myself, of like, I've worked in jobs in the past, like even this past job, it made me really depressed. And for a long time I was struggling with that because I thought it was something that was wrong within me. But as I've gotten older, I've learned to work with that depression more, and understand that it's there trying to communicate with me and tell me something. And really what it's been telling me is that, like this isn't the path that you're supposed to be on. Like depression, it quite literally takes all your energy and it slows you down. And it's like, no, this isn't the path you're supposed to be going on right now. Like you're meant for something else. And it's made me just have more graciousness to it. And yeah, and so I'm like, oh wow. And I've realized that in my life, I'm like, when I am plugged into things that I care about and believe in, whoa, my energy is crazy. So it's been really great for my self-confidence, of realizing like or previously my narrative was like I struggle with, chronic depression. It's like, no, like that depression is my helper. And it's pulling me, it's protecting me, pulling me out of something that I'm not supposed to be involved in. And truthfully, like regular microdose therapy has also been something that's allowed me to see that in a really gentle and compassionate way. Whew. Yeah.
I'm curious, with that experience in the microdosing helping you shift that perspective, do you feel like it kind of allows you, like the image that I saw as I heard you explain that was like bringing you out of that vantage point of seeing things through the lens of the depression, but then zooming out so that you can look at it from a different perspective. So then you start to be able to kind of gain the wisdom, or even ask the question of like, what are you here to share with me? What am I supposed to be learning? It's so hard when you're sucked into it and you're like in that vortex, but then I feel like, and I'm hearing that plant medicine just helps kind of lift you to a different vantage point so you can see things differently and extract the wisdom that's there, regardless of it's there always, but it just sometimes we need that little bit of help to allow us to see it.
Totally. And that's primarily, so like that's why mushrooms right now are being legalized, is because mushrooms are doing two main things. First one, they're aiding neurogenesis, which is quite literally the healing of nerve endings in our brain that are damaged, through pharmaceuticals or substance abuse or even trauma. It's healing those connections. And then also the second thing that I think is probably one of the most like interesting parts of it is that it's turning off a network in the brain called the default mode network. So that's exactly like how it sounds. Is exactly what you're describing. When we do behavior or we say thoughts, enough, It then gets programmed as subconscious behavior, subconscious thought, program behavior, program thought. I like to picture it as, and so when the brain knows in order to conserve energy that I'm going to follow this one learned pathway that I've taught myself. And so mushrooms, what they do is they help, they literally, they've shown brain scans of people on and off mushrooms. When you're on mushrooms, when you're not on mushrooms, those few learned pathways are communicating and talking to each other. There's just a few pathways that are being lit up. But when you're on mushrooms, all areas of the brain begin to start talking to one another. It's like totally lit up. And so I like to picture it like a fresh snow. So you're going sledding down a hill. And when you're going sledding, there's all these ingrained pathways going down the hill. And then the next day, a fresh snow comes over. And now you can choose a new way to go down the hill, like a new sled path. And that's exactly the opportunity that mushrooms are providing, is to form new pathways, to form new connections, new understanding, new thought patterns around a solution. I mean, that's why it's so effective with anxiety and depression and PTSD and trauma and substance abuse, because ultimately at the end of the day, all of these things are programmed thought patterns. And those negative thoughts I say to myself, they're on repeat, they're the same ones. And so what psilocybin is doing is it's allowing you to form a new thought about yourself, a new understanding of, man, why do I say that about myself? It helps you think about it in a different way, or it helps you just see the world from a new perspective, helps you notice that bee and that little bee on that flower and be like, wow, like this bee is literally responsible for our entire food system. It just causes you, if anything, I like to think of it as especially microdosing, which is different than macrodosing. But microdosing, I think one of the main things that it does is it helps just drop you into the present moment a little bit more. Helps you get out of your trained behavior. Like the default mode is what kicks in when you're bored. It's like this subconscious rampant thought pattern. And it just helps you to drop into the present moment a little more and just notice things that normally wouldn't have noticed. And I like microdosing. I mean, macrodosing, there's certainly benefits and a place for that, which is incredible. But microdosing, I like this therapy because it gives you this trauma, it gives you these downloads in bite-sized pieces, small little bits that you can digest. Because in the macro experience, it has the potential of hitting you all at once, which can be challenging. I wouldn't say that it's bad per se, but it can be really challenging if you're not in the right setting with people that are trained in order to help you move through it. Or if you don't, you're just not in a place to be able to process it, it can be challenging. But microdosing, I've never had a bad microdose, ever. Like a true micro, to where microdosing, it's supposed to be such a small amount of psilocybin that you're not feeling inhibited cognitively at all. I've never had a bad micro in my life. So, and I've been taking that medicine pretty consistently for the past 3 years, and it's been amazing. It's been like these subtle shifts around my relationship with myself and this anxiety. And that's why I was so stoked about that. I'm like, oh my God, even if you're not going through anxiety or depression or anything like that, people in Silicon Valley are taking psilocybin in order to find creativity, creative problem solving in their work. And so I truthfully believe everyone should take mushrooms. I'm like, no, I think there's literally like, it's non-toxic. So super safe safety profile on the body. It doesn't hurt the body. It's working on your mind. The only negative effect could be that it has the potential of being a bad trip if you're not in the appropriate setting. So like a lot of what I do is help educate people on how to take it safely so that they can have a good experience. Like there is a potential of bad trips if you're not in the right place with a trained professional in order to help you move through it. But like, it's a very safe, sacred plant. And then also it's non-addictive, which is the coolest part. I'm like, I feel totally okay with talking about this medicine because you will not get addicted to it. Like that's inherently just not how the plant works. Like they have done when they do these clinical trials with animals, when they take a dose, they never come back for a second dose. You can't replicate psychedelic experiences. It's never going to be the same. And also when they're administering these in therapeutic sessions, like Johns Hopkins University is one of the leaders in this research, they're finding that patients that have had chronic, lifelong treatment-resistant depression, meaning Western methodology is not working, they're going into complete remission after just 3 assisted trips. That's it. And they're off antidepressants for the rest of their life. They're cured of lifelong chronic depression. Like, what? Like, that's amazing. And I'm so like, that's truthfully, guys, I feel like I have been led to Oregon divinely. Like, I was like, wow, like, what a coincidence. I'd be led to the only state in the United States that's pioneering this research in therapy. I'm like, wow, I'm like supposed to be here. It's crazy. I mean, if I talk about the synchronicities of how I got from Arkansas to here, whoa, like totally divine. I'm just like, oh,
You're a
so
trailblazer. That's another good descriptor for you. You're totally a
oh,
trailblazer.
oh man, one of many. There's so much spiritual activity here in this valley. I mean, I'm totally just constantly surprised and elated by all the healers in this valley. And there's so many. I mean, wow, it's just such a beautiful place to live and be. It's awesome.
I'd love to throw a disclaimer out there. So
Yes.
psilocybin is not right for people with psychosis or people with schizophrenia. And there are certain contraindications for medicines. So do your research or find somebody who has that information if you need additional information.
Yes, totally. Totally.
And curious what your thought is, because like big pharma isn't going to want people curing their depression and their anxiety and no longer taking medicine. So I'd love to go down like that rabbit hole. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's what we're up against, huh? It's like, it's crazy. It's sad that those paradigms exist in our culture, that there are these nefarious people that truly want to keep people unwell in order to financially profit. And, my answer to that just taps into, my spiritual life. A lot of that revolves around prayer. And I believe in prayer. I think prayer is a form of manifestation. You have to, the intentional act of speaking out loud what it is that you desire and want, is a very powerful tool. And so with that, and with all these other huge, it's really easy to feel like we are powerless and that we're up against something that is too big for us to take on. But that is a lie. You have so much power within your own being. And a lot of that, I pray about it all the time. I pray for the safety of anyone that's involved in this work, that they are protected, that they have good intentions. Because, like, the biggest part about this is making sure that it's done safely and making sure that it's done with like the right protocols. Because, like, thank you so much for making that disclaimer. Like, it's right. It's not right for everybody, and it needs to be done. If this is something that you want to explore, I 100% encourage you to do your research and also to align with a good facilitator or a good company that is trusted, in order to help guide you in this first experience, because mushrooms should not be like recreationally legal. Like, there's not going to be, I don't foresee a future where there's going to be a like store where you can go and buy mushrooms, because it's the work is delicate and it's spiritual. You're pretty much unearthing trauma and dealing with that, and you need someone that's skilled and trained in order to help lead you through that experience. So just ensuring that it's done correctly and that we're educating people properly and that we're pushing them in the right direction, in terms of people that are trained in this. And yeah, and then also just I think it's a good thing to also like make sure that whoever you're sitting with is vetted, because there are some healers out there that call themselves healers but are not doing the work in their own personal life and do not have good intentions. Like there's going to be that. But again, that just takes me back to my prayer, and that the right people are going to be the leaders in this space, and it's going to be done correctly. And but yeah, educating and pushing people towards the places where they can legally take part in this medicine and sit with someone who's trained is very important. And you know what? Like every story that's ever been written, ever, the good team always wins. I just want to say that. Like the team of light always wins. So I'm not even worried. I'm feeling like this shift happening. And even though Big Pharma is this big bad giant, you can't suppress the light. You can't take away our soul and they've tried in many ways. But people have tried in many ways to detach us from our soul and to separate us from one another and to separate us from our connection to spirit. But you cannot separate creation from creator. You cannot diminish the soul. And so I know in my heart that the good team is going to win. And that's why it's so important for you to just evaluate in your life to make sure that you're on the right team with everything that you're invested in. Make sure that you're on the right team, supporting the right team. With every product that you buy, with every person that you support, like what are they supporting? Because it's a dire time right now in terms of like mental health crisis and also with the environment and, our disconnection from seeing how the way in which we go about our lives and how it affects Mother Earth. So it's good to, I guess a part of that would be raising your own awareness and vibration in order to be sensitive enough in order to see the ugliness when it's there, like working on just do the work in your own life and raise your own vibration and thereby raising the vibration of everyone around us. So
Thank you. I love that thought. I don't know why there's always like that evil force or that negative force that is like looming, and instead I should just be focusing on the light and my personal power instead of giving my power away to them. I'm feeling the call to step up and start advocating for the decriminalization in Montana, and so I'm like that shadow is there, and so I need to just not give that shadow any power. So it's so enlightening, so thank you.
Totally feed that white wolf, like for real. It's like I totally agree. Actually, I'm like the things like I'm like don't even like whenever I get down about that stuff, I'm like nope, I'm not going to focus on the negative and how it makes me sad and depressed and pulls me down. I'm like nope, I'm going to focus on the joy and the light and believing in that. And like seriously, like don't doubt the power of your own being, like just with your own thoughts and what you focus on. So huge. Like positive thinking is a skill. It really is. It's such a skill, and it's something that needs to be practiced all the time. Taking every thought captive, evaluating, being like, am I going to feed this? Is this what I want? No, throw it out. I'm going to feed what I do want. That's all what manifestation is. It's all about what we focus on. And if we can just, like in my life, I focus on manifesting the future that I want to live in. That's why I don't watch the news. I don't watch that garbage. The stuff is literally programmed to make you anxious and afraid. I don't tune into that frequency. It's literally vibrational frequency that is so low. I'm like, no, I don't feed into that. Like, I only pay attention. I only listen to music. I only watch television or media that is positive and uplifting. It's really important. Like, don't like becoming aware of what you're ingesting and how it makes you feel, or the frequency that it's tuning you to is important.
Amazing. This has been such a great conversation. I feel like the time has flown by already, and we're definitely going to have you back on again. Any last nuggets or any message on your hearts that you want to share before we wrap up the combo?
Totally. Renee, you asked me that actually, like, think of one message that you want to share the world. And I prayed about it this morning. I was like, okay, Creator, like, what is it you want to speak through me? And the message that kept coming through was gratitude leads to love. So I just encourage everybody in your own life, uh, to focus on what you're grateful for, and thereby that will, raise your frequency. That will heal your life, because the world right now, it needs more love. Love is all you need. It really is. Like I'm like moving out of my house right now, and I'm like living with very minimal stuff, and I've realized how much I don't really need. I don't really need that. But yeah, gratitude leads to love, and love is really all that you need. So focus on that gratitude, fam.
Oh, that is beautiful party message.
Mm.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Kat. We're so honored to have you and your wisdom. And for our listeners, we hope that you have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you again next